I do not believe this is the end of Elon Musk's involvement in Twitter. It may be a passive stake, but I think this is just the beginning. And I think we've seen this from Elon Musk before, and we're not surprised that he is taking this stake, given what he has said about potentially starting his own social media platform. So I will be curious to see how this shakes out over the weeks and months to come.
Look, this is just the appetizer. I mean, ultimately, we believe that he will have an active stake, probably over the coming weeks or months. And this is just the start of, I think, a broader strategic focus of Twitter, whether it's, changing the slate, changing the management team, or ultimately a buyout. So just to be clear, I mean, this is just the start of what I believe is going to be a much more active role for Musk at Twitter.
Tesla stock is back near all-time highs, and Elon Musk has shocked many by taking a huge personal stake in Twitter, obviously with the intent to make Twitter better by upholding the principles of free speech. Twitter stock went to the moon, the finance media is confused, analysts are confused, investors are confused, and people who understand Elon Musk are not confused. In this video, I'll share my thoughts and comments. I'll explain what I believe Elon Musk's intentions are, and it's possible I may also do a little bit of obnoxious mocking and ridiculing as necessary. So let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can get 2 free stocks with WeBull, a free stock with Stake, free Bitcoin with Coinbase, and free Bitcoin with BlockFi, and the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. So let's get straight into it. We have a lot to discuss. I tweeted this yesterday when the news broke. Quote, so Elon Musk has taken a stake in Twitter and no doubt is planning to help make Twitter better, with the key objective being to uphold free speech. Probability that the future is better has just improved. Good luck, Elon. Very important mission. I really want to make sure that everybody understands. This is why Elon Musk has made his investment in Twitter. I summed it up. These are the fucking facts. It won't be long before Elon Musk either comments on my tweet or says something in the public that reiterates exactly what I've said. It's so obvious, yet the reactions in the finance media and from many analysts, nothing but confusion. These poor people, and hey, I'm not a hater here, they don't know what they're talking about, they don't understand Elon, they're doing the best with the information they have, but the information they have is pitiful and severely lacking at best, and therefore their best is embarrassing. We'll come back to some of the interesting and rather hilarious comments and responses to this tweet in a moment, but first, let's rewind the clock just a little bit. How am I so confident and certain that this is Elon Musk's intent? And why is it that most other people don't seem to get it? It's really not that difficult. Here's a tweet from Elon recently. Quote, Starlink has been told by some governments, not Ukraine, to block Russian news sources. We will not do so unless at gunpoint. Sorry to be a free speech absolutist. I mean, hello, Elon Musk is a free speech absolutist. Makes 2 of us, by the way. Hello, everybody who's confused, hello, just read this tweet. That's it, just read this tweet. But just in case you're a little bit thick or extremely thick, perhaps this tweet from Elon Musk might illuminate things for you. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, in this case, I'm not even going to explain this tweet. If you don't get it, that's fine, but I will just point out that's Jack Dorsey, the guy who founded Twitter and is no longer the CEO, and that is the new CEO of Twitter. Notice how Jack Dorsey is now no longer in the picture. It almost looks like he's been pushed in the water. Pushed out by the new CEO. Are you still confused? Allow me to read a quote from Elon Musk in 2021. Somebody asked, define freedom. Elon's response, which I completely agree with, by the way, very articulate. Maximum set of possible future actions. It's that simple. And more recent tweets from Elon Musk regarding Twitter and free speech. Quote, I'm worried about the de facto bias in the Twitter algorithm having a major effect on public discourse. How do we know what's really happening? Great question, Elon. Elon Musk adding, the algorithm needs to be open source. And more. Elon Musk tweeting this poll. Free speech is essential to a functioning democracy. Do you believe Twitter rigorously adheres to this principle? 70% of people responding no, 30% of people ill-informed morons who should have abstained from voting. This is not a matter of opinion. This is a matter of fact. Twitter's own actions demonstrate that to this point in time, they absolutely do not rigorously adhere to this principle. This is why people get banned from the platform from saying something that's accurate, describing a biological reality, asking a question that you're not allowed to ask, citing some data that you're not allowed to cite, sharing an article that you're not allowed to share because the fact checkers have incorrectly deemed it to be fake news. Elon also responded to the poll saying the consequences of this poll will be important. Please vote carefully. It continues, quote, given that Twitter serves as a de facto public town square, failing to adhere to free speech principles fundamentally undermines democracy. big fucking problem and absolutely true. What should be done? Elon also followed up. Is a new platform needed? Now, I can understand if you haven't been following everything Elon Musk has said and done for a few decades, you may have missed a few of his recurring comments, but here's something that Elon Musk has said very consistently in the past. In terms of what he does with his life, how he chooses to focus on a certain problem, start a company, etc., Elon is very consistent. He simply tries to choose the set of actions that maximize the probability that the future is good. So, in short, if you understand Elon Musk, set of actions, maximize probability, future is good. Free speech essential to a democracy. Twitter not adhering to free speech principles. Maybe I can do something to help. That was Elon's thought process. And I have to be honest here, I am stunned how few people seem to understand this. This is obvious and inevitable. It's so clear if you understand Elon. Many people, however, clearly do not. Allow me to illustrate the point by reading some of the comments and discussion on my tweet from yesterday. First up from Gary Black, who I have a great deal of respect for. Poor old Gary, unfortunately, seems to be wearing his Wall Street glasses. Quote, serious question. How can everyone who agrees with Elon's view that advertising is a waste of money suddenly do a 360 and cheer Elon becoming Twitter's largest shareholder? 93% of Twitter revenues come from advertising. We'll talk more about this in a moment, but Gary had a few other very interesting questions, and I actually think these are extremely insightful. Remember, Gary has that Wall Street background. Another question from Gary. Why is an investment in an underperforming media company crucial to accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy? Elon Musk despises the media and its advertising lifeblood. As I replied to Gary here, unfortunately not getting through, Elon is trying to do good. Again, going back to the maximizing the probability the future's good, unfortunately, Gary and many others seem to be stuck in cell D39 in their spreadsheet. They just can't see it for what it is. Elon's trying to make the world a better place. He's trying to do good. He's seen a problem. He thinks he can help. I'm going to help. Gary responding to this. It's Elon's money. Fair. But this is the same CEO who despises advertising and won't invest $2 million for a small PR department to build Tesla's safety, brand and equity. It's the ultimate irony, and I respond. You've got your Wall Street glasses on. The irony is not lost on me, but this isn't an investment or a business decision. It's a trying to maximize good decision. This is who Elon is. And one final comment from Gary Black here. I don't have my Wall Street glasses on, Stephen. Let's agree to disagree. It seems like a distraction for a guy who despises the media business and the advertising lifeblood that sustains it. It just seems so out of his wheelhouse again. Poor Gary Black here is thinking, hang on a minute, he doesn't like advertising. Twitter makes money advertising. This doesn't make sense. Again, the guy just has his Wall Street glasses on and just can't get it. Gary, if you're watching, if anyone knows Gary, please just send him this little clip. Elon is simply trying to maximize the probability that the future's good. It's not a business decision. It's not an investment decision. He's not trying to make money. He's not trying to take over Twitter or buy the company just for the sake of it. He's literally just trying to do good. That's it. The end. There's no extra stuff. He's just trying to do good. So let's see if you've been paying attention. Fill in the blank. Why did Elon Musk take a significant personal stake in Twitter? Answer is because he's trying to do blank. Fill in the blank. Let me know in the comments below. And big shout out to Dave Lee on investing. I'm a regular viewer. Dave also gets it. And I have to say, of all the YouTubers out there, especially covering Tesla, many of them seem to be tiptoeing around this issue of free speech. Maybe they don't have a strong opinion, or maybe they don't have testicles and they're scared of losing some of their viewership sharing their thoughts. Dave's made a lot of sense in recent videos sharing his thoughts on free speech. I think it's safe to say we see eye to eye on this topic. Now, let's watch the poor folks on CNBC try to understand what on earth is Elon doing.
I mean, his tweets have been about having more free speech, which to me means having more scatological tweets by people who don't like him. Free speech has been, I think, what you have on Twitter, except for the former president. So I don't know exactly, David, what he's getting at, because there's more free speech than you could use on Twitter right now.
Of all the things Jim Cramer has said in his illustrious career, this may possibly be the single dumbest, and I'm not actually joking. I just want to hone in on something Cramer said.
Free speech has been, I think, what you have on Twitter, except for the former president.
The irony, the idiocy of this statement is just unbelievable. The poor guy Cramer here suffering from a severe case of TDS. The guy's talking about how free speech is what you have on Twitter, and then provides an exception. Here's an example where we didn't have free speech. It was just the fucking president of the United States of America getting banned from the platform. Free speech is what we have on Twitter, except when they don't like something that the president of the United States says. And then they're not allowed to say it and they get banned from the platform forever. In collusion with Facebook, who also do the exact same thing at the exact same time. That's free speech. I'm smart. Don't buy Tesla stock. Don't even rent it. And I know there's going to be a few people in the comments, oh, but inciting violence. And of course, we are talking about people in the comments who suffer from severe brain damage or don't think for themselves. Let me give you a counter example. Me. If I, on this YouTube channel, say, hey, we need to fight like hell against the Tesla FUD, and then some idiot goes out and assassinates Mary Barra or somebody in the mainstream finance media, and then I get deplatformed from YouTube for inciting violence. Exact same thing. If you still think you've got a valid point, there's obviously an unbridgeable intellectual gap, so let's just leave it there and move on with our lives. And please understand, I'm not saying this to shut down discussion. I encourage everyone who vehemently or even slightly disagrees with me, please share your thoughts, opinions, and more importantly, your reasons as to why in the comments below. However, it's fairly likely that the best argument you'll come up with is this exception and this exception and this exception, and this is why we need to censor this. This isn't free speech. This doesn't count. And then you'll have somebody raising the dumb example, oh, shouting fire in a crowded theatre, which isn't free speech. That's not expression of a thought, an opinion, an idea, or a belief. That's being a dangerous c***. There's a difference. At the end of the day, of course, this really is just a matter of opinion. I have a very, very strong opinion that free speech is fundamental. There's some folks out there that think it's okay to have sex with and marry 12-year-old children as well. I'm not a fan of that. I think it's completely wrong, but there's plenty of countries in the world where it's actually legal to do that, and obviously a lot of people think that's okay. It's okay to disagree. In fact, the wonderful thing about free speech is it allows you to disagree.
Yeah, I don't, by the way, that's a shared viewpoint at this point. Nobody quite understands exactly what this may be other than what it is. I know. Genius, right? Which is an investment. Somehow he perhaps thinks that there's a benefit to owning 9+% for him in terms of maybe the economics. Although, again, when you're as wealthy as he is, you do look for the other motive that might be. Right, might be there, and I'm not quite sure what it is.
Is it possible for somebody watching to relay a message to Jim and David? Pretty simple, like I said. He's just trying to do good. Free speech, necessary for democracy. That's the answer. He's not trying to make a return. It's not a financial investment. If only they could take off their Wall Street glasses and see reality for what it is. It's hilarious. They're so confused. It's so obvious.
It's passive. We should point that out again. It's a 13G. It's not a D. It's not something you would see from a Carl Icahn or somebody you would consider to be a true activist, where that might presage a fight for board seats and the like. This is simply a passive investment as of now. That can change, but you need to take it for what it is.
But I think, Carl, the most exciting thing about it is that Twitter's not done versus other. Well, no, the others are all down right now. But Twitter, I think a lot of people see what Twitter could be. I remember when Mark Benioff, what he saw it could be. A great place for ideas, but also DM being effective. And there's no doubt about it, and we can get to his number of cars that he managed to make this quarter, which are incredible given COVID. But the guy's a winner. And right now, the people who are at Twitter need more of a winning ad. It's kind of a team that has not made the playoffs in many, many years. And that's not – Elon makes the playoffs than anything he does.
By the way, to that point, thanks to Bespoke, today is going to be the fourth time since the IPO that it's gapped up 20 from the prior close. Only 4 times. Wow. And as for the stake, if you value it at Friday's price is worth $2.8 billion. It's about 1% of his net worth, right?
Yeah. Which is just stunning, isn't it? $280 billion. Obviously, the wealthiest man in the world, Tesla itself.
Are you going toward what Senator Warren? Is you going to Senator Warren?
No, I'm not. Listen, we talk about Musk a lot because he, in part, he creates news, but also because he is the most single iconic businessman in the world. I mean, it's beyond business. I mean, he actually envisions things and then makes them happen. I sit here at this desk next to you day after day. He thinks, gee, why not go to Mars? And he's going to do it.
What do you like? He's like RF Kennedy.
Sell 1.5 million electric vehicles this year, and he makes it happen. Why not bore tunnels under? I don't know. You can't doubt him.
Deploy satellites and get the internet to the far reaches of the planet.
Right.
Reuse rockets. I mean, it can go on and on.
It goes on and on. But I mean, 20 years ago, if he'd said, "I'm going to do all these things," you'd look at the guy like, "Well, yeah, okay, great, sure, go knock yourself out there, buddy."
Yeah. When I went to see him get the Person of the Year, and he would only talk about space. And at one point he said, raise your hand if you've been in space. Guy next to me raises his hand. He says, how was it? He says, that's pretty great. He said, well, everybody goes to space. Everybody. I mean, can you imagine? Who would ever say, this guy's something?
No, he is unique. Doesn't mean he's any less miserable than a lot of other people on the planet, but he is a unique individual.
I think he's the best. I think he and Jensen Huang are the two smartest people I've ever met.
Wow.
Jensen from NVIDIA.
Yes.
Smart's it's more than smarts.
All right. Well, that's
intelligence is great, but it's a lot more than that.
Okay, yeah, I know smart means. I'm not talking about book smart. I'm talking about trying to dream and then execute.
Right.
Going for it.
Going for it.
Right. Going for it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. By the way, deliveries, Jim mentioned 310K over the weekend, which you may have seen. Record high, below the street by a touch. Shanghai obviously hurt, Jim.
Right. Well, look, I think that what happens when
now we're talking about Tesla, guys. So
what happens when he does it is that there are all these faux surprises. I mean, frankly, it was not a surprise. It was a little bit less than the surprise. But then people can say, when you consider the lockdown in Shanghai, you consider COVID, it's an incredible number. So the stock goes higher than just this.
And Berlin's coming online.
Yes.
Austin, a new factory as well. Conceivably,
2 million cars, right? He's going for 2 million.
Right, and going to deliver at least on up 50% year over year.
Credit where it's due, from having no idea about Elon's motivations in his Twitter stake to actually understanding what's going on with Tesla and the nuance around their delivery numbers. So let's see what Dan Ives and the folks over on Yahoo Finance have to say.
Got to get back to our top story now, though, and that is the Twitter reaction as we learned that Elon Musk was taking a 9.2% stake in the company. Again, it is a passive stake. So what exactly does that mean? Dan Ives is with us, Wedbush Managing Director and Senior Equity Analyst. Dan, it's good to see you. I mean, what does it mean? Like when Elon Musk reports a passive stake, does that mean he's not going to chime in at all? I mean, to expect Elon Musk to be quiet on a company that he's taken this size of a stake in, that seems a little unrealistic, doesn't it?
Look, this is just the appetizer. I mean, ultimately, we believe that he will have an active stake, probably over the coming weeks or months. And this is just the start of, I think, a broader strategic focus of Twitter, whether it's, changing the slate, changing the management team, or ultimately a buyout. So just to be clear, I mean, this is just the start of what I believe is going to be a much more active role for Musk at Twitter.
I definitely agree with Dan Ives here. This is just the beginning. Even though this is being reported as a passive stake, Elon Musk wouldn't have invested in the company if he wasn't planning to do something a little bit more than be passive. That said, I think a lot of the analysts and the folks in the mainstream finance media have a little bit of tunnel vision in terms of Elon Musk's investment in Twitter. Oh, he's just going to keep increasing his stake and eventually increase his influence. That is a possibility, but actually I don't think that's the path Elon Musk will take. At least that's not his ideal path. Instead, I personally believe Elon Musk is going to do his best to incentivize and advise the company, maybe to get a seat on the board, or maybe to collaborate with some other large shareholders to have a little bit more influence. He may continue to increase his stake, and he may already have. There's a lag between Elon acquiring a stake and this being reported, so maybe he's added even more. I think ultimately Elon Musk probably want a seat on the board, maybe even to become the chairman of the board, but I don't think that's the only option he's considering, and I certainly don't think his plan long term is to completely acquire the company or buy a controlling stake unless he absolutely needs to.
Oh, Dan, hold on. Elon Musk is not buying Twitter. Do you think he could actually make a play for Twitter here? This guy is trying to change the world with SpaceX and electric vehicles via Tesla. Do you think that, what is the probability on something like that?
Yeah, it's not about Musk himself buying Twitter. It's about him ultimately starting to become much more active. Once they go above the 10% stake in terms of strategically, whether it's getting on the board, and then ultimately, if Twitter does not listen behind the scenes, then this could be something where, ultimately from a private equity or other, could be a catalyst to a potential acquisition. I think that's sort of the street's view here. That's why the stock's up the way it is. I think there's no one out there that believes he's just going to end with a 9.2 passive stake.
And Dan, you're a longtime bull on Tesla. As an analyst that has covered this company for some time, do you want to see Elon Musk out there trying to make changes at Twitter when he's launching gigafactories around the world and making millions of electric cars?
This is obviously a very contentious, in fact, a very divisive issue here. Most Tesla stock investors, in my opinion, absolutely lose their fucking mind, get their panties in a massive twist every time Elon Musk does anything that might indicate that even 1 millisecond of his attention has been taken away from Tesla. Let's ignore the fact that he's been CEO of Tesla and SpaceX. Forget all that. Yep, it's very hard for Elon Musk to focus on more than one thing. He doesn't have a track record of doing that and executing well. So yeah, Elon, please focus on Tesla. By the way, I actually get it from a Tesla stock investor's point of view. Totally makes sense. But here's the thing. You may not be aware of this. People are packages, okay? You get everything that comes in the package. Part of what comes in Elon's package, and by the way, this sounds a little bit weird, so don't think about coming in packages too much, is that he wants to do good, as we know. He wants to take the set of actions that will maximize the probability that the future will be good. This is part of the package. If you don't like what's in the Elon Musk package, get a refund. it's not going to change.
Yeah, look, I think investors have gotten used to Musk obviously cast a massive net, right? And I think there was a view for many with SpaceX that was going to take the eye off the ball on Tesla, and obviously it's done the opposite. I think investors are fine with it. I think to some extent it just further expands the potential ecosystem of Tesla. Musk has talked about it. I mean, is he going to build the social media from the ground up? That's extremely difficult. But if you look at Twitter, you're talking about an apathetic sort of shareholder base. You're talking about a company that's really been on a treadmill, a lot of headwinds. If there was a time for him to get more aggressive, this was the time.
Dan, okay, so if he is going to increase the stake even more, if this is just the appetizer, if he's going to push for strategic changes, what are those strategic changes? I mean, basically when he's weighed in on Twitter operations on Twitter, of course, it's him fetching about that Twitter doesn't let people say what he thinks they should be able to say on Twitter.
That's a very strange way of describing Elon Musk wanting people to be able to speak freely. Kind of reminds me of something recently said by one of the worst human beings on the planet. That is, of course, the pathological liar, the hypocrite of hypocrites, Justin Trudeau.
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing.
That's right. According to this Trojan horse for communism, there are people in Canada who have views that they are expressing which are also unacceptable. Doesn't sound like he's a fan of free speech, does it?
Is that really the strategic change that Twitter needs?
Look, I think it's really about monetization. It's about the eyeballs as a platform, right? That's been an issue in terms of just when you look at share gains versus other social media, it's really share losses.
No. Dan Ives, man, you're doing so well. This has nothing to do with monetization. Sure, maybe Elon will also find a way to help Twitter there. That's not the point. The sole purpose is to instill and uphold the principles of free speech. Everything else is secondary. It's just amazing. Everybody sees the world through the glasses that they wear. If you're an analyst, it's all about money and investment making a return. And I want to be clear, like I said, it's definitely possible that Elon Musk will find a way to do a few things that will really help Twitter out financially, but that's not the goal.
So, of course, the initial view is, obviously Musk's gripe about Twitter, but in terms of from a shareholder perspective, would really be about monetization, the advertising. And look, social media, it's massive changes going on right now, and it feels like Twitter is in the right lane going 45 miles an hour while everyone's passing them at 80 going left lane.
Yeah, I guess what I'm asking is Musk the person who is going to make those necessary changes, right? I mean, I get that his public-facing Twitter persona is different than Musk, the CEO of Tesla. We've seen that, right? That he sort of makes a lot of noise over here on Twitter, but then effectively runs the company. But is that something that we can envision happening for Twitter also?
Well, I think that will be the question. I think it's a question for investors. But also, look, you're talking about Musk that revolutionized the auto industry with electric vehicles. Obviously, SpaceX speaks for itself in terms of really the core of the U.S. space program. So when it comes to social media, it's not like that's far flung that he at least could try to disrupt it. But Julie, to your point, it's not that he's necessarily going to control Twitter. It's more that this is the start of him becoming more active in Twitter that could ultimately force changes, whether it's on management, getting on the board or others. That really, I think, the odds of many investors is a company that, their best days are in the rearview mirror. And I think that's why you're starting to see the excitement, at least from a stock perspective.
And now, a few more thoughts from the mainstream finance media.
Tesla releasing its first quarter delivery numbers. Phil LeBeau joins us with that. But of course, Phil, have to ask you first about what you think with Elon Musk taking a 9.2% passive stake in Twitter. That kind of came out of nowhere.
Gives you a little something to talk about on a Monday morning. Look, I agree primarily with what Dan Ives had to say. I do not believe this is the end of Elon Musk's involvement in Twitter. It may be a passive stake, but I think this is just the beginning. And I think we've seen this from Elon Musk before, and we're not surprised that he is taking this stake, given what he has said about potentially starting his own social media platform. So I will be curious to see how this shakes out over the weeks and months to come. That happening on the day when a lot of people were going to say, let's talk about deliveries for the first quarter for Tesla. They came out on Saturday, and yes, they were a little shy of expectations. The company delivering just over 310,000 vehicles. 95% were Model 3s and Model Ys. That was expected. Why has Wall Street's reaction generally been pretty positive, despite the fact that this was a little short of expectations? Look at the challenges that they went through. Front and center, the Gigafactory in Shanghai. They had to shut down that plant 4 days last week because of the zero COVID policy in China. And that is the real driver of production and deliveries for Tesla. In fact, Elon Musk tweeted about it on Saturday, saying this was an exceptionally difficult quarter due to supply chain interruptions and China's zero COVID policy. Outstanding work by Tesla team and key suppliers saved the day. So what do we expect from Tesla for the full year? And we haven't seen much of a change in terms of the expectations on Wall Street. It's still about 1.45 million vehicles are expected to be delivered this year. Clearly, that would be a huge jump from the 936,000 that we saw last year. And by the way, the run rate at this point is expected to be 2 million vehicles annually by the end of this year. Doesn't mean they'll deliver 2 million this year, but that will be the production run rate.
As we all know, a very impressive quarter from Tesla, especially given all of the challenges. What's interesting to note now is that I'm hearing over and over in the mainstream finance media when discussing Tesla the idea that they'll be at a run rate of 2 million vehicles per year at the end of this year. One, this is true. And two, it's stunning to hear the mainstream finance media actually get this.
At least that's the expectation at this point. This is a huge week for Tesla. They have got the Gigafactory in Austin, which is going to be opening officially, delivery starting on Thursday. That's going to be a Giga Rodeo, according to Elon Musk. And then coming up in a little over 2 weeks on April 20th, that is when we get the Q1 results. We'll hear from Elon Musk definitely at that time, or we think we'll hear from him. Remember, he has said in the past that sometimes he may not be on the earnings call unless he has something important to say. I think there's a lot of things going on. Hopefully, we'll hear from Elon Musk on that earnings call. But we're in the midst of a very big period here for Tesla as it ramps up production.
Absolutely. Very bullish period for Tesla. Massive expansion. Good to hear them discussing this. Now, back to the topic of free speech, Twitter, and Elon Musk's stake. To sum this up, as I said, Elon Musk's intent with the stake in Twitter has nothing to do with getting an investment return, making money, or anything of the sort. His primary, perhaps his sole focus here is to do his best to help Twitter to uphold, to maintain the principles of free speech. At this point, something they are failing miserably at doing. As someone who believes every human being on earth should be free to express their thoughts, opinions, ideas, and belief, right or wrong, and that people should be able to hear, discuss, and make up their own minds, rather than Big Brother deciding what we're allowed to hear and not hear, which in the past certainly hasn't worked out too well. Shout out to the laptop, the lab origin, stating facts of biology that cause people to get triggered and you end up being cancelled, and so on. In my opinion, this is neutral for Tesla stock investors and extremely bullish for human beings who also believe that free speech is fundamental. And for those who don't, I'm going to be candid and super honest here because why not? I believe those who oppose free speech, who are pro-censoring, pro-fact-checking, pro-deplatforming, pro-cancelling, pro-having the woke mob ruin somebody's life, I truly believe that these folks are dangerously stupid. Yes, I do see people who do not support free speech as a threat to democracy. I will continue to stand up for this issue. I'm sure Elon Musk will do likewise. This is a very important issue for me. Every single day I have to self-censor because I know there's certain thoughts, opinions, ideas, or even questions I'd like to ask that I simply can't. I'll be instantly banned from YouTube. The same thing will happen on Twitter, my two largest platforms. I can't even say what I think, mean, and believe. This needs to change, and after the news of Elon Musk's stake in Twitter, I genuinely believe that the probability the future will be better has massively improved. I wish Elon Musk all the best. And one final thing, guys, I've been thinking for a while now, I may have to start posting content on a whole new platform, and yes, I know I have a Patreon, but even there, I can't share all of my completely uncensored thoughts. They do have their own policies as well. It's a ticking time bomb, certain things I cannot discuss. So let me know in the comments below if you'd be interested. This is not going to be related to investing, it's not going to be related to Tesla, it's not going to be related to any of that stuff. It's just some other topics I cannot discuss here, and I mean that. YouTube has policies explicitly stating if you say this, if you ask this, if you refer to this, you can be instantly deplatformed, banned from the entire website. It's not a risk worth taking. but I do need to share these thoughts. This is the only solution that I can come up with. That being said, I do share a lot of my thoughts and opinions, many of them very controversial, on Patreon. You can sign up with the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment. There's an archive of well over 100 exclusive Q&A videos on loads of different topics. But even there's still a line I cannot cross. And this is a problem. I personally believe that as a human being on planet Earth, I should be free to express my thoughts, opinions, beliefs, and ideas. Whether or not they're reasonable, whether or not they're right, doesn't matter. And you too should be able to express your thoughts and opinions about my thoughts and opinions. I mean, isn't that fair? Something to think about. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can get 2 free stocks with WeBull, a free stock with Stake, free Bitcoin with Coinbase, and free Bitcoin with BlockFi, and the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. I read every single comment on this channel, and I really appreciate your feedback. So if you've got any thoughts on today's video, questions, comments, or suggestions for a new video, let me know in the comments below. Check the cards on screen now to browse the merch store, join Patreon, or watch the next video.